Hi, I'm Nancy Mary Peterson, and I want to talk about the difference between biblical-centered families and child-centered families. So there's a big buzzword, and there's going to always be. I've been parenting for like 3 decades, and there's always been this ebb and flow and this new way of parenting. There's nothing new under the sun. God designed families way, way back when, and He put parameters and biblical principles and truth that would guide us as parents. So when you hear new philosophies on the parenting circuit and new book and the latest research and what it's saying, and there's so much out there, it can feel overwhelming and heavy as a parent of what they told me to do with my first child is opposite what they tell you to do with my last child. So did I screw up my first child? Am I screwing up my last? I'm like, how do you decipher where the truth is? And what I always say is go back to the Bible. What are spiritual truths? Forget the bandwagon. Yes, listen to research. There is some great books out there right now, the anxious generation that's talking about screens, which is a new obstacle that we're dealing with as parents. And we didn't have a lot of research. Now we do. And yes, look at all that information. But don't let that be your philosophy in parenting. Never steer from God's design. God's biblical truth is always going to be biblical truth. You know, I heard this thing is we can't let our kids newest craze or whatever to let them express their emotions. I'm like, do we? I mean, is that biblical? Is that godly? Is that reap them benefits in the future, self-control? No, it's our job as a parent to train up our child in the way they should go, to teach them the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, to teach them biblical truth. Blessed are the peacemakers. A soft answer turns away wrath. It is our role as a mother to distinguish the difference between just good ideas and biblical ideas. Here's maybe a good idea of how you should do your parenting is at bedtime, create a bath time routine where you give them a bath or you create this atmosphere and you read them a book. Those are good things. Those are some ideas, but those will be good for a season. Then you're going to hear something else that you should bathe them every night. And then the next thing is going to be, don't bathe them every night. You're going to dry out their skin. So be cautious to not jump on bandwagons. Jump into God's truth, to the Bible, and see, does it line up? When I think about a toddler throwing a fit or not allowing them to express themselves or limiting their screen time when everybody else, I mean, it is notorious in every generation. You will have kickback. You will have new ways to do parenting. There's nothing new under the sun. God's truth is still God's truth. So don't get sideswiped. Don't lose your vision and read into these philosophies. I mean, there was such a good book that I read recently, and I'm not going to say what it is, but it was such a good book about the importance of the first few years. But it also talked about never letting your kid cry. And I'm like, okay, that's not feasible. For a mom with 6 kids, I had 3 kids, 2 and under. There was somebody always crying in my house. So that would have meant I screwed up my first 3 kids. And I didn't. They're amazing adults. They don't need therapy. They're serving God. They're holding productive lives. And I didn't do what they said to do, but I did do what God said to do. So as a mom, back up your parenting philosophy, read good books, and dive into some good literature that will hold truth to time and help guide you and build you as a mom and do all those things. But always remember, does it line up with spiritual truth? Are we created child-centered homes? Are we creating biblical-centered homes? So go back to the Bible, and does it line up with Scripture? Be so cautious, because the enemy prowls like a roaring lion, seeking to devour us and to speak lies and to distract us and to misguide us. Go back to God's biblical truth, and does it line up with His Word? Does this ring true? Does this make sense? Find mentors that are biblical and that have gone before you, that have the kind of kids you want. Ask them, what are some of the things you did? I'm kind of struggling with this. What does this have to say? And there is so much more wisdom that we have that we should glean from, but we still have to bring it back and line it with biblical truth. So as a mom, read good books, read the literature out there, see what the going craze and what's working and what isn't working. But before you jump on any bandwagon, bring it back to the Bible. And is this biblical parenting, or is this child-centered? Is this parents? I mean, where is this philosophy coming from? And then decipher, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Look and see what makes sense and what is valuable, and then throw the rest away. That is the best thing I can say about parenting, is always line it up with biblical truth. Keep investing in your family and be intentional.